Better Human Daily. Probably going to be a new show. Who knows? We'll see. I change shit all the time. Let's get right into a couple pieces of content. So, a sitting U.S. congressman has claimed that he would rather citizens buy lottery tickets than invest in Bitcoin. The establishment fears digital sound money so much that they're advocating for the population to gamble their savings away. Politicians preying on the uneducated. It is just pathetic, really. Complete patheticism. Bitcoin is the soundest, strongest money ever invented. It will win as a result because in free markets, monetary energy always flows to the strongest assets. This is what it is. It's why gold and silver were the strongest forms of money for so long, right? And while they have a lot of benefits compared to seashells or tobacco or tea leaves or any of the other things that we've used for money throughout time, these are the best until Bitcoin came around. And Bitcoin solves all of the problems of gold and silver and introduces even new securities and strengths so that it can't be manipulated or controlled. It's amazing. It is an amazing invention. And if you aren't buying it, go to colin.coach/swan, SWAN, and sign up with Swan Bitcoin. It's the lowest fees for buying Bitcoin I've seen. They also have a set it and forget it auto buy schedule. I have it so that every single day I dollar cost average in and then it deducts the money, I think like once a month or once a week or something. You can set up whatever schedule you want. I like buying daily because it's so volatile that I'm going to get the dips, right? I want to buy the dips and I will buy the highs as well. That's why it's called dollar cost averaging. Instead of trying to predict the market, which nobody can, you buy every single day. It evens out over time. So this one is probably political and controversial. And I didn't really even think about this until I had kids. And then you have kids and like the idea that you would do anything to prevent that child from entering the world, and how somehow in politics we have this idea that it's okay to do that is asinine to me. It's complete and utter insanity. And it's nothing to do with sex. This is just life. This is nature, life. And if we didn't have the science to even be able to do this safely, this wouldn't even be a discussion. So what this is human intervention that has allowed a certain group of the population to politicize something by basically talking about how it should be a woman's right to or to not. And because of that, we can then supersede the rights of a actual human. It's insanity to me. I think we're going to look back at this time as barbaric for doing this kind of shit. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. And no matter where you fall on that spectrum, if you want to attack me or come at me, or if you hear something like this and your first defense is attack Colin or attack the person with his or her views, then you need to realize that you're being an idiot, first of all, right? But you're being a victim of your own bias. You're being a victim of succumbing to cognitive dissonance. And you really, really need to analyze and think about your belief system and why you're acting that way, because this has nothing to do with me. This is about you and your beliefs, right? Okay, so I guess that's the same tweet. I have something else to talk about. But I do have to get to a Nagashi appointment for my back very soon. Let's see if there's anything else in here. What else did I have in here? Okay, so here's two good ones. So I will always vote for the politician, and you should too, who promises to leave me the fuck alone. 100% agree. 100% agree. Politicians should be there only to protect personal property rights and have basic laws in place that, some of them are needed for sure, right? Now, I would probably say that I'm an anarchist. Michael Malice has really opened me up to that idea, but more of like a libertarian anarchist where like I understand the need for certain maybe public services and certain roads and laws and just certain things, and I'm not opposed to that kind of stuff, but it should be way less than it is, and it should not encroach on the average person, and it should be free market for everyone. It should be free market capitalism, and it should be a free market for every human to engage in their own sovereignty and their pursuit of happiness however they want. Again, as long as it doesn't violate someone else's property, right? And you could even say property is your person. So anything that somebody does that violates your person physically, right, or gets in the way of you pursuing something in a free market, like your business or whatever, like anything that attacks that should be like prevented if possible, or there should be laws around that. But everything else, no. Everything else should be a free market. Everybody should have personal responsibility, take care of their own selves. And this, I highlighted this because it should show you just how ridiculous governments can be. I mean, there's so many laws that are still in place. There's like sex laws. I think in some states, anal sex is against the law. Like, what are you talking about? How do you think you have any right whatsoever to say anything about what somebody does with their body? I mean, even the idea of war on drugs or just drugs being illegal is, again, just another politicized over encroachment of government. It's garbage. It's nonsense. Everybody should do whatever they want. And if you look at the war on drugs particularly, it actually creates more fragilities and worse outcomes, right? Instead of just legalizing it and taxing it. It'd be safer for everyone. People are going to find drugs if they want drugs. You're not going to prevent anybody from ruining their life with drugs because you have a law around it. The idea of that is asinine. The last person to be convicted of blasphemy in the United States was Charles Lee Smith, a man from Arkansas. In 1928, he placed a sign in his shop window that said, "Evolution is true. The Bible's a lie. God's a ghost." And he spent 3 months in prison. Blatant violation of the freedom of speech with that. Insanity. And that was in 1928. Look at the laws against blacks up into as much as the 60s. And then, you still listen to these talking heads on TV, these political pundits that are funded by big corporate entities and have, basically in bed with government. How do you trust anything that any president or politician says? If you actually look at history, if you're a student of history and a student of economics and free markets, and you don't even have to be, you just have to know a little bit, and then you use your intellect, it's insanity. Insanity. So short vid for today. I'm going to do a daily idea of the day. I might as well just do it. Just do it, and I'm probably going to be doing, I'm not sure yet. I'm going to look into doing a daily newsletter, but probably more like a twice a week, maybe 3 week newsletter. I already have the Colin.coach Primary Better Human newsletter, which you should definitely get on. I'm throwing a ton of value into that, and I'm going to be experimenting with some new ideas, and get in there, give me your feedback, tell me what you want to see, what more of, less of, etc. And probably do that to 2 or 3 times a week, because the thing about learning and education and betterment is you have to be consistent with it. And if I can help serve you up consistent content that you can tune into every so often to help you level up, to think differently, to challenge status quo, to maybe think outside of your little worldview, then the key is consistency with that. So I want to do that, right? And the newsletter here on YouTube and the Better Human podcast, that's my main vessel for doing that. I do this for passion, not for money. Actually, all of this is a net loss for me. If you actually account in all the stuff I pay for, the services and the employees I have working and editing and doing things, the little bit of money I might make from YouTube is just, it's a joke. It doesn't even pay for a fraction. Well, I guess it pays for a fraction because fractions are infinite. So it pays for a minute fraction of the expenses. So Colin.coach to get on the Better Human newsletter. Subscribe here. I'll see you in the next one.